Thanks for staying with us. Now, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Adukwe-Mensah, says she is satisfied with the entire process of yesterday's referendum. She added that all 6 of the proposed regions have met the constitutional threshold to become fully fledged, legally recognized regions. According to her, all the 6 proposed regions have met the stipulated threshold of 50% voter turnout.
Generally, I think that it's been very successful. There has been no hitch. We were monitoring the various radio stations and so on, and voting went on early at 7 a.m. as stated, went on smoothly, and people came out in their numbers to vote. I know there were concerns about security and threats to security and so on, but the fact that there were no injuries, there were no threats to security, I think I can say on behalf of the Commission that it's gone on very, very well. Okay. And of course, the voter turnout, I think this has been an issue that has been of concern to many Ghanaians. And I think we should be hailing this, that people are very much aware of the issues that concern them. They are very interested, they are very engaged. And I think that we should be applauding the people of Ghana for going to the polls and voting in favor of a region that would benefit them. So that's my assessment. Thank you. Thanks. The regional returning officers in turn then collated the results of their respective districts and ultimately declared the results of the referendum to create new regions. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the results. I have the honor and exclusive privilege as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to announce the official results of the referendum as declared by the regional returning officers of the 6 proposed regions and endorsed by the Commission as follows. Now the district, we have Western North. We have a number, the registered voters numbered 502,185. We've projected the results on the screen. Out of the 502,185, 390,128 cast their votes. The percentage of voter turnout, therefore, was 77.69%. Of this, 388,235 voted yes in favor of the creation of the new region. This amounted to 99.51%. Again, 942 voted no, representing or announced, ladies and gentlemen, that Northeast also passed the test. Based on the results announced, all the 6 proposed regions have met the threshold of 50% voter turnout and 80% voting yes.
So that was EC Chairperson Jean Mensah there addressing the media earlier today. Now, there's been concerns about a video that's gone viral. This video you're about to see raises serious concerns about the integrity of the process.
And I'm not important. Go, quickly, go, what did I know? What the men are, we look at the air, civil, we have a part of the year.
Well, Mrs. Mensah says the Electoral Commission is investigating videos of officials who were seen indulging in electoral malpractices.
Alleging wrongdoing during the recent referendum. I think the Commission takes this seriously and has notified regional directors and the security agencies. I think it's important to emphasize that the Commission has as the hallmark of its operations the principles of fairness, integrity, and transparency in all its operations, and we are waiting to hear from our officials and the security agencies on the line of action to take. We are not familiar with these officers. Investigations are going on, and I believe that we are also calling on members of the public to present any evidence that they may have to the Commission and to the police. Once that is done, we would know the next line of action to take. But I think it's important to emphasize that the Commission would not shield any person, whether the permanent or temporary staff, who is found to have violated the law. And I think it's important to put that on record. Thank you.
Accreditation.
Yes, with the second.
Well, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, has observed that most polling stations attained more than the required turnout threshold of 50% of total valid votes cast. However, turnout figures at some polling stations were unusually high, in some cases as high as 99%, raising serious questions about the integrity of the process. CODEO also documented wide disparities and unusually high numbers of manual verification across various polling stations observed. At some polling stations, the number of voters who were manually verified were found to be more than the number of voters who went through biometric verification. All right, so shortly we'll be speaking to Albert Ahin of CODEO, but as we indicated, CODEO has raised some issues about the process. They've issued a statement on the matter, and read portions of it. It says, on Thursday, December 27th, 2018, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers deployed 50 observers to various districts and constituencies in selected regions within which the referendum on the proposed creation of additional regions was taking place. And it goes on to say, however, a number of electoral anomalies were recorded by CODEO observers during the observation exercise. These anomalies raise serious questions about the integrity of the process. So these are some of their findings. One, that the atmosphere of voting was generally calm across all polling stations observed. Voting opened on time for many polling stations and slightly later at other polling stations. CODEO observers came across some accredited observers and agents representing various interests, such as no campaigners and yes campaigners, at some polling stations visited. Most polling stations observed attained more than the required threshold of 50% of the total valid votes cast. And as we indicated there, in some cases, they were as high as 99%, raising questions about the integrity of the process. And all right, so let's go on the line now and speak to Albert Ahin. He's a national coordinator of CODEO. Mr. Ahin, good evening and many thanks for your time.
Good evening, my dear, and good evening again to your listeners.
So tell us, which areas did you notice these anomalies?
Yeah, when you look at the report, we're talking about Jessica in the Volta region, Pechiman in the Brongahafo, and then I think Salaga also. You know, we have this on the table that you have in front of you. And what we are saying is that when you have these high turnout, ranging from 99.7, 98, and so forth and so on, it turns out to be a little bit too high, and it needs to be looked into. All over the world, elections normally do not have these percentages being recorded. Does it mean nobody died in their village? What happened? That 99.7% of people could turn out to vote. We are not saying that it could not happen, but it needs an investigation by the EC so that in future, if there's anything like somebody was just being too smart, then we can check it. We are again saying that the manual verifications were too many manual verifications. In the report somewhere, you can find that we are saying that the manual BBDs, the verification machines were functioning very well in most places. We said this. So how come you can have about 400 people being manually verified?
What's your suspicion?
Some 300. Hello?
What's your suspicion in that regard?
Yes, what we are saying is that it's not possible that throughout the country, machines could be working so well And then in other areas, you can have in a police station about, say, 400, 300 people being manually verified. We need to have an investigation conducted into these things. What we are saying is that the EC should go over these complaints. We are saying this because if these machines could not verify the people, we are going to use them again. So there's a need to know why it couldn't verify these people. To the tune of about 400 people, 300, it needs to be checked.
All right.
That is what we are saying.
The EC has said that it is investigating some of these anomalies that have come up. But during the process, did your observers observe any malpractices by the polling agents or the electoral officers as well? As you know, there is a video that has gone viral of an EC personnel engaging in some malpractices.
Our people per se did not encounter these things. But you see, looking at the videos that have come around, it's difficult for Codeo to pinpoint and agree that these things happened. We are once again appealing to the EC because the pictures are there. They should be able to go back and find out what happened in these places. There's a need to do an investigation because it borders on the integrity of the commission. So if people were doing what is purported to have been done, then of course there's a need for the EC to confirm.
All right.
Codeo is not saying these things were true because we cannot verify them. No.
Okay. All right. Many
so
thanks.
They should rather do it on behalf of the nation.
Very well.
To save the integrity of the election. Yes.
Very well. Thank you so much. That's Albert Ahin. He's National Coordinator for Election Observer Group, Codeo. Moving on, Minister for Regional Reorganization and Development, Dan Botwe, says the government has allocated 20 million Ghana cedis to the development of the Oti region. According to him, the 2019 budget has made provision to allocate seed money to all the newly created regions for development. He added, all stakeholders have been consulted and would be involved in the creation of the new regional capitals.
As it was announced on page 215, the government allocated 20 million Ghana cedis as seed money for the region. Each. So Mr. President gives us Oti has 20 million Ghana cedis to start setting up. And the emphasis is on seed money. So I'm sure by mid-year review.
All right. Many thanks to you. When should we be expecting the region to take off fully?
Well, Mr. President, by 35-8, we have to issue a constitutional instrument. So it's in the position of the President now.
How should we expect that?
Well, it's in the position of the President. So I'm sure he's following the process. And when the Electoral Commission officially communicates to him, he will take it, he will act. But that one, let's leave it for Mr. President. Last year, we met the stakeholders, we met the chiefs, they discussed it, and they said that they will all wait. Because this is something they have been fighting for decades. You know, their forefathers wish they could have certain things. So they will fight for this one, go through the process. If they succeed in getting their ready, the next stage of regional capital and other countries.
Meanwhile, residents were jubilant over a successful election and the creation of the Oti region. And talking about the creation of new regional capitals, traditional leaders are already lobbying for regional capitals to be sited in their areas. The overlord of Mamprugu, the Nayiri Abdullahi Sheriga, wants the capital of the proposed northeast region sited at the traditional capital of his kingdom, Nayerigu.
Mbolka Lantingwa. La Lirwa Kambolka, La Lirwa. La Lirwa, it will bring me Pana Lirgo.
In respect of the regional capital, he wants it in Alergo. That is where, and he said, he gave an example that if you give a whistle to a blind man, you need to tie it around his neck so that anytime he wants, he will pick it and blow. But if you give it to him in his hands and he misses it, then he will not, if he loses it, he will not get it to talk again, to blow. So what he's saying is that he wants the regional capital in Alergo. Well, that is where he does the, and he says he's appreciative to the government. He has expressed his appreciation to the president for accepting to give him a region, accepting his petition, and he has asked that may God bless the president, and that the youth also who came out and worked very hard for the voting to have come off successfully. He is grateful to them, and he is wishing them God's blessing.
To the Western region now, residents of the Western North continue to celebrate after they met the threshold. Voters out of the 500,000, over 500,000 voted in favor of the split from the current Western region. JoyNews' Obrimpong Yao Ampofo observed the elections and now reports.
After voting on Thursday evening, the final figures from the 9 districts were finally compiled by the Electoral Commission on Friday morning. The returning officer for the referendum, John Oscar Kinto, declared the final verdict.
After the collation, we have these results. Total registered voters, 502,247. Total votes cast, 390,654. Yes vote, 389,003. No vote, 880. Rejected ballot, 769. Percentage turnout. We were required to have 50% turnout, and we had 77.78%. The yes votes, you were required to have 80%, and the certified result indicated you had 99.52%. Ladies and gentlemen, upon the powers vested in me by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, I hereby declare yes the winner of the referendum held in the Western North region.
The excitement soon followed. It started with the Western Regional Minister, Dr. Kwekwe Friyi.
But it could have been a lot higher. There's a lot of migrants, so in spite of our efforts, still some of them went away. But we couldn't help it. But it's okay, I'm very, very satisfied. The way forward is very clear. The government will have to, the EC will have to declare the result like this, and the government will have to accept the parliament and form the necessary legislative instruments.
Now, for those who may not recall, here are some statistics that show the voting pattern and the results. And there you have it, the outcome of Thursday's referendum. We're taking a short break now. Business is up next with Sandra, and she has some good news. Fuel prices are expected to go down.
Done by all the oil marketing companies every 2 weeks as part of the policy to allow them to set their own prices.
Details coming up. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. Now, delegates of the opposition National Democratic Congress have retained the party's 2016 Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency parliamentary candidate for January's by-election. After close to 2 hours of voting in a primary held Friday, the Electoral Commission declared Delali Kwesi Brimpong the winner. He polled 415 votes to beat his 2 other contenders in the race. Kwesi Parker Wilson of our political desk has more.
After close to 2 hours of voting, the Electoral Commission at the Ayawaso West District declared Delali Kwesi Brimpong as parliamentary candidate-elect for the opposition NDC.
We have Mr. Eko Akwa. He pulled 190 votes out of 724 votes cast. Selassie Dede Agbo pulled 115, that's 115 votes. 115. Delali Kwesi Brimpong pulled 415 votes. I therefore declare Delali Kwesi Brimpong as the parliamentary candidate-elect for the National Democratic Congress in the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency.
Shortly after the declaration, the two aspirants, Selassie and Eko Akwa, considered defeat and pledged their support to rally behind him to ensure that the NDC wins the by-election.
I pledge my full support for Mr. Delali Brimpong. I'm going to help in his campaign to ensure that we win the seat.
And I would urge that all my supporters, we should team up with the supporters of Mr. Brimpong and Madam Selassie so that together we can work to win the seat for the party. The party is bigger than all of us.
Delali Kwesi Brimpong, who is the parliamentary candidate-elect, has been speaking, and he says that indeed he admits that in the 2016 election, a number of things worked against the NDC in the election, but they have found the antidote and have remedied all the issues that worked against the NDC, and is very confident that the by-election will go in favor of the NDC.
There were a lot of issues about the 2016 election for NDC. We have done the post-mortem, and we are convinced that there are antidotes for the tsunami that caught NDC in 2016.
Honorable, you've been accused of being the cause of their defeat.
Yes, of course. As a leader, I accept full responsibility for the failure of the constituency. But according to Blaise Pascal, the past is never our goal. The past and the present are our means. The future only is our goal. We learn from our mistakes to actually get to the future, and we are taking this seat come January 31st.
So, Kwesi Parker Wilson reporting for Joy.
Meanwhile, popular Ghanaian actor John Dumelo, who pulled out of the race, has been explaining to JoyNews why he stepped down. According to him, he wasn't eligible to contest in the primaries.
Picking up nominations from anybody can do it. So nominations forms were picked up for me, were picked up on my behalf. Anybody, I can even pick nominations forms for you in Bulga.
Knowing that you don't live within the constituency?
But I live here. I've lived here for 10 years.
No, but you don't vote in the constituency?
I don't vote in the constituency. No, I don't. So these are the little technicalities that we're not able to solve in terms of the people who wanted me to stand, and I kept on telling them that my vote is not in Ayawaso West. But the forms were picked and everything, and at the end of the day I had to withdraw because my vote wasn't here.
See, but your critics don't understand that. They have questioned your competence, your credibility, and say that, listen, this is a clear demonstration of your incompetence, as they want to put it, that you don't vote in the constituency. You pick up nomination form on the contest of parliamentary candidate. Clearly, John Dumelo is a very serious candidate.
No, here's the thing. A group of people held a press conference to say, John, we know you live in Ayawaso West, Wogon. We know that you can win the seat for us. And I explained to them that, look, my vote is not in Ayawaso West. There is no way I will be eligible to contest. But the pressure group said, you know what, John, let's see what we can do. Let's just work things out. And then eventually I told them that it is not going to be possible. So it's not a matter of my incompetence. It's a matter of the pressure group, me explaining to the pressure group that it is not in the right direction for me to contest because I'm not eligible to contest. My vote is not in Ayawaso West Wogon. And as per the rules, my vote has to be here. So it's not a matter of incompetence. I mean, it's not everything that you have to respond. I mean, and so that's why I kept quiet all this while.
I see. Now, do you aspire to be a member of parliament, John?
I'm a farmer.
Right.
I love farming.
Businessman,
a businessman, yes.
Yeah,
if it's God's will that I get into parliament, then so be it. I mean, everything is God's will.
Will you contest in 2020?
If it's God's will.
God's will indeed. We're taking a short break. Sports is up next. For our final editorial for the year 2018, we thought it was wise to focus on an issue that concerns all of us, not just government, but citizens. Not just the rich, but the poor. Not just the young, but the old as well. An issue that requires collective effort. Sanitation. Particularly in the national capital, Accra. That the city of Accra is filthy is a gross understatement. One cannot drive 50 meters without encountering some filth of some sort. Whether it is litter dropped indiscriminately on the streets by unconcerned pedestrians and motorists alike, or people urinating in areas not designated for peeing, or worse, defecating in the open, Accra is dirty. And nowhere in the city is more dirty than our market areas. At almost every available space of the market area, filth competes comfortably with the traders. Our streets and gutters are littered with pest-infested, stinking waste and unpleasant sights of overflowing waste collection containers are not uncommon. And yet we know the implications of not changing our attitude to filth. Sanitation-related diseases have over the years been among the top 10 diseases reported at the outpatients department in health centers, costing the nation huge sums of money annually. Estimates show that Ghana loses close to $300 million every year due to poor sanitation. Money that can be used to construct a concrete road from Takrady to Paga. Well, the issue of filth has been a bane for successive governments. For years, governments have crafted different policies to deal with it, and yet we are still where we are. From the Tankase policy to the Aliu Mahama campaign for greater discipline. And earlier this year, President Akufo-Addo boldly proclaimed that before his tenure ends, he will make Accra the cleanest city in Africa.
By the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa.
Well, the situation is so dire that now we have foreign ambassadors calling it out on Twitter. Australian High Commissioner to Ghana, Andrew Barnes, recently took to Twitter to describe the deplorable sight near his embassy. He wrote, "The scene this morning in the high street near our High Commission. I encourage the local authorities to step up their efforts to meet the President's promise to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa by 2020. #sanitation. Now, as to whether the President's promise can be achieved, we can only guess. But if we aspire to the likes of Singapore and Rwanda, it will take not only government, but citizens like you and I. We must begin to look within and change our attitude, not just for generations unborn, but the present living. Let us be citizens, not spectators."